let us know when we're ready. Okay, Mr. Chair, we're live.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we're in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. Please note, when you join the meeting via Zoom, all participants will be in the waiting room and your microphone will be muted until the host lets you into the room. You can watch the hearing live via the city's Board of Revision YouTube channel. And when called upon, you'll be allowed from the waiting room and permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once you've been heard, you can continue to watch the hearing live via the city's Board of Revision YouTube channel. If any participants are currently watching the live meeting on YouTube, please mute your audio player now. I'd like to introduce the members of the panel today. In the North Committee room is Ms. Carrie Linklater, and remotely is Ms. Cynthia Stevens. My name is Stu McPherson. I'll be chairing the hearing today. The secretary for the Board of Revision is Ms. Cara Belshaw, and representing the City of Winnipeg Assessment Taxation Department is Mr. Jamie Faucher for the first hearing, and Mr. Jason Brown for the second property that we'll deal with today. We'll be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application. We'll limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony. Anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Please be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council. It's independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I'll confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in, and we'll then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they so wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave, and the process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You'll receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. Just as information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. If you do have a cell phone, would you please put that on silent at this point? And I will deal with the first property we have is 437B St. Anne's Road. So I will have you swear the applicant and the assessor in, if you would please, Ms. Belshaw.
Thank you. Mr. Assessor, for the record, please state your name.
Jamie Faucher.
Do you affirm the evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. And Madam Applicant, for the record, please state your name.
Jenny Borowski.
Do you affirm the evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, Ms. Borowski. Have you been to the Board previously on any matter?
No, first time.
Okay, but you're understanding what the process is, what I just read, the way
Yes,
to deal with it.
Yes.
We'll hear the assessor first, and if you have any questions.
Yes.
And it's the amount of the assessed value for BA purposes that we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Morning, Mr. Faucher. When you're ready, we'll hear your evidence, please.
Good morning. So as mentioned, the first property that we have here is 437 St. Anne's Road. The business assessment ID is 40554. The business is Borowski's Health Shop and Day Spa. And the original assessment that we had on this business assessment is $48,960. And we had a total area of 2,836 square feet. And that broke down to one unit being 1,318 square feet. And we were using $14.90 plus the $2.45 for occupancy costs per square foot. And then on the other side, the other unit, we have 1,518 square feet, and that used a rental rate of $14.73 with $2.45 occupancy. And that combined to $48,960. I did have a chance to speak with Jenny yesterday, and I did an inspection and measured the area of the two units that they occupy. So we actually have a recommendation. First, I'll note that the rental rate has gone down, but the overall area has gone up slightly. And further to the recommendation, we've also agreed that outside of the hearing process, we were going to review the way that the business assessment is set up here, because there's two businesses that, work in tandem. We have them as one entity, but we've agreed to review the possibility of differentiating the two businesses and possibly having a separate business assessment ID for the other. But I just wanted to note for the applicant that we are in agreement to review that status. So in terms of the recommendation, we're using $12.85 with a $2.45 occupancy cost on an area of 2,980 square feet. And so that totals out to $45,600. And I believe Jenny is in agreement with that figure, but I'll let her respond.
Ms. Borowski, you're aware of this recommendation? Are you in agreement with that?
Yes, I'm in agreement. We'd gone over this, so yes, I am.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So that's your evidence then, Mr. Assessor? That's the recommendation you're making, $45,600, the annual rental value, that's your revision, and you've agreed to review the possibility of, splitting this into two different premise IDs, or not premise IDs, but actual business assessment.
Okay. Correct.
Okay, did you have anything to add to that, Ms. Borowski? You're in agreement?
That is we've discussed it in length, so that's everything, yes. Thank you.
Ms. Linkletter, do you have any questions or concerns?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Stevens, questions or concerns?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, therefore, I will leave that with us, and there will be an order coming in due course. Thank you for your participation, and thank you, Mr. Assessor.
Thank you.
Where'd everybody go?
Just moving them around.
Ah, there we go.
Okay, so good morning, Mr. Assessor. For the record, can you please state your name?
Jason Brown.
Do you affirm the evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And Mr. Applicant, you are currently muted. If you could unmute yourself and please state your name for the record.
Ayrton Neufeld.
Oh, Aaron,
Oh.
you're here? Oh.
Yeah, do you both want to be sworn in?
No, I'll see you later.
Okay, bye.
We don't
Mr.
talk.
Mr. Applicant, for the record, please state your name.
Rocky Neufeld.
And do you affirm the evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the property we're dealing with, good morning, Mr. Neufeld. The property we're dealing with is 700 Sterling Lion Parkway, and it's the annual rental value we're dealing with, Mr. Applicant. Sorry, you're muted.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I knew I was muted. It just takes forever to unmute.
Okay, good morning, Mr. Brown.
Morning.
When you're ready, we'll hear your evidence, please, regarding 700 Sterling Lion Parkway.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. File number is 21-39. Subject's located at 700 Sterling Lion Parkway. This is a hotel. It's branded under Hyatt House, Winnipeg South Outlet Collection. Business roll number is 55383. And the taxable party is Tuxedo Hotels, Inc. I'm defending a 2020 business assessment of $1,423,800. So hotel BAs are done on an economic calculation. We generally hear the realty, we set the realty level, and then we use 10% of that value. We then apply the costs to occupy to determine the total ARV. So we had an original roll of $11,770,000. We've taken 10% of that. Gives us our adjusted economic rent of $1,177,000. Added our cost to occupy $2.45. This gives us our total ARV of $1,423,800. I will note that this was heard on February 4th, 2021, and it was reduced from $11,770,000 to $9,411,000. However, this is pending municipal board. And in that case, we cannot flow through it at this point because this will have to be heard on the realty level at the mini board, and then we'll have to flow through that decision. So for this hearing, I am recommending that we maintain that ARV. I have the decision attached to my evidence, and that is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, questions for the assessor?
Oh, yes, I do. The appeal that was filed, who filed that appeal? The city or the appellant?
The appellant.
And the value itself, did the city consider whether or not they planned on filing an appeal on that?
We did consider it.
And you chose not to?
That's correct.
And the reason that you're not doing the flow through is it value related?
It's more procedural. If there was no muni board, we would flow through it, but generally the board will honor their own decision and make that reduction based on their own decision.
Thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you. Ms. Linklater, questions?
Not at this time, thank you.
Ms. Stevens, questions?
So just to confirm, you said that if this hadn't gone to the municipal board, you likely would have lowered it, but because it's in front of them, you're leaving it as is.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And the amount of market value of the hotel, that's just based on strictly on the realty?
Yes, because this was a new hotel, we didn't have any income and expenses to work with. So it was all based on comparable properties.
Okay, and do you not normally include those when you're doing the BA? Do you not normally include some sort of comparables for market evidence?
There really is no comparables because hotels aren't rented, which is why we use that economic calculation. I could have put my realty workup in, but generally these things are not heavily disputed and more of a procedural thing.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Newfield, I'd like to hear from you, please, regarding 700 Sterling Line.
Thank you. You have our very short report. What we're looking for is just a matching value reduction based on the realty amount, and you have the numbers in front of you. We just did the same calculation using 10% of the value of the new assessment along with cost to occupy. And sorry, I don't have it open in front of me, but I'm sure you do. I think it's 1,169,000 from memory, something like that.
I believe it's 1,187,900.
Okay, thank you. And the issues of the appeal of the realty are not value related. This hotel, like most hotels, was impacted heavily by COVID orders, and they finished their construction in July of 2020 and opened for no business. And as in a normal world, I think that the assessment of 9.4 million is quite fair. And in many cases, we may not even have appealed it even due to COVID. But the interesting case here is that as new construction, new business, it is not eligible for any of the federal subsidies or provincial subsidies that came out as a result of COVID, because they're all based on a company that you have to provide your previous year's income to show that you were in operation the previous year. So as a result, anything that happened because of it, there's nothing. There's no wage subsidy. There's no tax subsidy. There's nothing. So on that basis, we did file the appeal. It will not be on value. Now, typically, you open a hotel or most any new business, you're going to start off with lower income in the beginning. And after some discussion with the assessor at the original Board of Revision, we were somewhat in agreement that it was going to take a while to build up the income. And the COVID impact just killed that and put it off by a whole year. Rather than jumping to 40 and 60% occupancy rates, they linger at about 20% for over a year. That is not a value question. That is a physical issue. It's force majeure. It's the impact of shutdowns in our world. We do not intend on debating the value of 9.4 million in a normal market world. The issue with this property and several others in the hospitality and food services field is they were ordered to shut down by the same level of government that controls the taxation process. So we will be asking for a test ruling on the basis of that. This is one of about 50 that we have under appeal. And we're not coming here to debate this in front of the Board of Revision either, because we understand it's more of a legal matter, and we just want the board to be aware of the circumstances behind it. There is no disagreement with the value in a normal world. So thank you. That's my presentation, and I have a very brief summation.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, questions for the applicant?
Just more of a statement, Mr. Chairman. I'll just note that we are in agreement with most of Mr. Neufeld's calculations. However, I had rounded it slightly lower at 1,187,880.
Okay, well, that's great. Thanks for the lower rounding.
Okay. So that's your presentation then?
Those are my statement.
Or
Yes.
those are your questions? I guess?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Linkletter, questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Ms. Stevens?
No questions either. Thank you.
And I have no questions. Thank you. I think the applicant was going to make a summation based on that. Are you making a summation, Mr. Brown, or?
I have no summation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld? Summation?
Yes, thank you. And with all due respect, I don't mean to say anything negative about anybody, but the Board of Revision is here. You're here to listen to concerns about value. There are no concerns about value here. There was a somewhat of a consensus between the participants that the value was a bit on the high side in a normal world. Our issues with it on the further appeal are legal based and the result of outside impacts. And we understand that it's probably has to go to the municipal board for a further ruling on it, and which is why we chose not to debate the matter anymore. Now, the assessor's position is also not value. It's based on policies and procedures. And again, with trying to be very respectful, I don't think the Board of Revision is here to listen to their policies and procedures. You're just here to listen to value. And I think you've heard enough to understand that there is, again, some consensus on value, but this outside issue may need to be heard later. I don't think it'll interfere with the further rulings or the decisions. I'm not even sure if this one will be selected for a test case in the future. We are looking over that now, and unfortunately, the board they say they're speeding things up. We don't see a test case on the horizon until 2023. And so I don't think it's fair that the owner would sit in limbo on a value that the parties think is probably fair for the normal circumstances. Thank you.
I thank you. Okay, thank you. That will conclude that property. There will be an order issued in due course. Thank you both for your presentations this morning.
Thank you.
And with that, I will call the hearing to a close.